Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing papers. Punch, Mr. You have a story?
Yeah,
Punch,
of course, yes. The federal government is trying to register untitled lands. So the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development has commenced moves to address the issue of unregistered and untitled land in Nigeria, which is, I think, about, he said, 90%. And just to think of the revenue that is lost from, untitled land tax, it's something I think that is necessary. And even for just data, for mapping, these are the things that we need to do in Nigeria to ensure that we have proper information about not just the land, but in every sector. I think data mapping is quite important. So, yeah.
I have a story from the NESG. So the Nigerian Economic Summit Group has explained how the state governors spent the country's $50 billion excess crude account in 2010, which would have served as a buffer for subsidies and other pressing financial concerns of the nation. If you recall, I remember that time, even before that time, when Okonjo-Iweala kept saying that, listen, we cannot spend this money. And the governor said we must spend the money. They took it to court. So he said that, if you recall, the global financial crisis of 2007 and 2008 had minimal effects, where the substantial fiscal buffer, the EC, that's the excess crude accounts, which greatly shielded the external economic shocks. But however, the state governors approached the Supreme Court, got a court order to declare the ECA illegal, giving them the basis to share the domicile funds. So instead of us be using our saved money to pay for subsidy, we're using money that we're collecting to be paying for subsidy. So governors that shared $50 billion are part of the problem. It says that the federal government disbursed $50 billion funds to the 36 state governors between the president, late president Musa Yar'Adua, and the time Jonathan took over. So they were just giving the report on that. Okay.
Have they said what they did with the money? Those governors are no more governors now. They don't carry their Igba, enter house.
Moving on now to Son. We can not only tell you what the paper is saying, we can discuss it another time.
I'm just wondering, because all those governors now, they are no more governors.
Yeah.
They are senators.
But they are alive and well.
So they're still Nigerians living in
They are senators.
They're senators. Daily Sun. Military out to ensure 2.2 million barrels per day oil production quota. Edo Guba PDP may not sign peace accord. Obaseki tells Absalami. I think we took that story already. Inflation. FG considers zero duty on food imports. Government to convert $300 billion unregistered land into viable assets. Terrorism provides cover for other crimes to thrive, says the Chief of Army Staff. Flood. Kano confirms 49 dead, 226 communities affected. Cholera, Lassa fever, other kills. 1,056 in 2024. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Okay, I have in the Sun. Our government, in a bold effort to tackle rising food prices and provide immediate relief from inflationary pressures, has proposed a temporary zero-duty levy on selected food imports. So this is coming from the Office of Director of Information and Public Relations of the Finance Ministry. So this happened after a meeting, a closed-door meeting with our Minister for Finance and with the Nigerian Customs Service Board, and sat down and they came up with what they have described as a temporary measure in a critical period. So this is not a long-term thing. And it's because they are trying to meet up with the supply, with the supply crisis that we're facing right now. But they're saying that this government is committed to long-term solutions. This is just something that they have to do right now. And the ministry was also very complimentary of the Nigerian Customs, saying that they have been doing a lot, they've been doing a lot in safeguarding the nation's economic interest and also maintaining efficient functioning of customs processes. So I don't know how this will sound to a lot of people who are invested, in the food business here in the country. How this will affect domestic production is what I mean.
Okay, another story, Son. Who has? Minister, you have?
Yeah, I will.
Right.
I will piggyback from the story that my sister earlier on said. It's still really about the flood. There's a flood disaster, the food shortage that has come out from that, and the federal government is commiserating with the Borno government. And, you know, this great concern about the food shortage and commodities in Maiduguri and in Borno State, thousands of people, residents, have been struggling just for survival. You know, we're talking about, of course, people have died, complete food shortage, you know, disease. There's just so much from this flood. And, you know, one would have thought that every single year we deal with the issue of floods.
Head on, right.
At this point, you know, we need to ensure that we put infrastructure in place that will be able to mitigate that. And I'm really hoping that after this specific disaster, you know, we really look at how we approach the issue of infrastructure in a way that will factor in the point that there's going to be rain and, you know, we need to really do something to mitigate
Another
this
thing
flood disaster.
is because the governor had talked about disease.
Yeah.
They're going to get, because the sewage, you know, sewers were all flooded as well. So there is the
Outbreak of disease.
yes.
Real waterborne.
So this monkeypox that we're even dealing with will even be small
All sorts
fry
of
compared
stuff,
to what they will, you know. So I think they really need to act fast, very fast.
Let me take the major headlines. So the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has given the Army, the Air Force, and the Navy the mandate to ensure there's improvement in crude oil production from 1.35 million barrels per day to 2.2 million barrels per day. General Musa gave the charge while inaugurating members of the Defense Joint Monitoring Team at the 6th Division Nigerian Army Headquarters in Port Harcourt, Rivers State yesterday. He urged the team to liaise with all security agencies and other critical stakeholders to bring all bunkering-related crimes to a standstill in the Niger Delta region. The CDS clarified that the essence of the task force was to ensure security production of crude within the Niger Delta.
Okay, I have a human story. 9 persons have been killed in a tragic auto crash that occurred yesterday along the Kano Zaria Highway. And the Federal Road Safety Corps are saying that this was caused by wrongful overtaking. They also indicated that 3 other victims were injured, while explaining that the crash occurred between a moving truck and then a tricycle. The people that were injured were evacuated to Kura General Hospital for urgent medical attention. And they are extending their condolences to the families that were affected, and they are pleading with road users to please take it easy, especially during this rainy season.
Yeah.
When trying to overtake, you know, the roads are slippery, so that let's take extra care, you know, to avoid other sad stories. My condolences to the families that their lives were affected.
Okay, our final paper, The Vanguard. Let's find a story we've not taken. IMF to FG, protect the poor from impact of petrol price hike. Treason, court grants 10, hashtag end bad governance. Protesters 100 million naira bill. Finance Minister, Customs meets to implement zero duty on food imports. State of the Nation, Tinubu's government is sliding into fascism, says Anef Afenifere. Borno flood, we are still trapped, can't access work, business places. Okay, which story?
I have Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court in Abuja granted bail to 10 activists who were being prosecuted by the federal government over the recent hunger or end bad governance protest. He says Justice Emeka says he was inclined to grant bail to the defendants because they were able to prove with the evidence brought before the court that they were actually just protesters. But, you know, the case before them, they're facing 6 counts in connection with alleged treason, intent to destabilize Nigeria, conspiracy to commit felony, and inciting to mutiny, which is punishable under Section 97 of the Penal Code. The defendants were also accused of making an attempt to force their way into the seat of power, during which they reportedly burnt down a police station, injured police officers. They're accused of inciting the Nigerian public against the government, destroying several public property, including a police station, high court complex, and national communications. So while investigation, the court's saying to them that while investigation is going on, they've been barred from participating in any protest.
Okay.
So I was going to take the Eguavon story. He is really angry over the results of their match against the Rwandans because their goal was disallowed. You know, Ademola Lookman had scored the goal with a header, but the referee disallowed it. So he said the whole world saw that it was a goal. Only one person thought otherwise. So he was angry about that because we have given them that clear 3 points against. He says the Rwandans were even jubilating because they too felt they should have lost the game. But he did praise the Rwandans. He says African football has come a long way and they did well.
Okay, I think that is what we can take on Granted. I was going to take another story, but let's move on quickly to the Nigerian Tribune. Let's find a story we've not taken. Woman slumps dies while giving testimony in church. I thought it was this though. Food shortage hits Maiduguri as governor says over 1 million people displaced by flood. Financial institutions must be part of counterterrorism. After 10 months, Plateau Speaker swears in APC lawmakers. And I think that's the only story in this.
Yes.
I have one story that I missed out. So the Area on the Kankanfo of Yoruba Land Iba, Gani Adams, wrote an open letter to our president criticizing the administration, saying they have become indifferent, insensitive, and unresponsive to the plight of Nigerians. And it was going on and on about how people came in, believed in the Emiloko mantra, and then over the months they've seen how dollar has gone from, how petrol has gone from 200 naira per liter to 1,000 naira per liter. That hardship is really real, and events are proving that obviously maybe the people he has at the helms of affairs are not doing their job. So we'll see how that goes.
He sounds like a very disillusioned.
Yes, it sounds like
person.
a very pained person. But why do they always write open letters? I don't know.
So that
everybody knows that they are.
Yes, that look, my hands are clean. No, I don't talk my own. No,
and maybe access as well, because
that's another
direct
thing.
access. So open letters. I've written a couple of open letters in my time, so I understand the need to communicate your message directly, and possibly that's the best medium to do so.
I think Gani Adams will have access.
You don't know how that place works. You know, some people even.
Honorable Minister can tell us now.
Resign
Can we just walk into the office and say, Mr. President, I want to see, or they are.
I don't think there's any government in the world that you can just walk into the office to see.
Exactly.
Nigeria is not.
I say some people who are even close to the president will resign because of health reasons. What are you saying?
YK.
Leave that one. Leave that one. Leave that one.
Let's go on a break.
That is why I can say what I can say.
Yes. You know, you're allowed to. When we're going to go on a short break. That's all we can take on Front Page. We're going to come back. It's our Thursday, our gisting day. We're going to talk about some hot topics. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.